So I want to talk to you a little bit about the informative and surprising essay as you wrap it up this week. Remember that this assignment is due in Blackboard by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday night, October 18th, and that I don't take late work, so make sure you meet that deadline to be able to continue in the course. So I want to just give you some tips. I have provided several things in the course materials, and so if you open the course materials and then open the informative and surprising essay unit, then there's a lot of material there for you. I want to walk through a little bit of that and just remind you and show you what's there. So let me go ahead and get into where we can see our screen. In the informative essay unit, let me open this. Remember that the material, the explanation of the assignment, and all of that is in this week of September 30th. I see this where it tells you to read this chapter and the informative essay materials. That means they are in that chapter. Other information about the informative essay, of course, is in all of these chapters. Material on MLA and on documenting and using page numbers or paragraph numbers. That's in this MLA materials. Information on how to quote, how to cite from your sources. I also have provided in this sample rough draft, I have provided a Word document that you can look at, and it just presents the MLA format paper. Remember that it has the 4 headings on the left side of the page. It also has the header that has your last name and the page number in it in the upper right hand corner. You can see that it's double spaced. You can see that there is no extra space between anything. Everything is just strictly double spaced, so no extra spaces before or after your title. None of that. The paragraphs are indented. And so although this is not very long, you still can see what I have here for you with the, again, with the title on the Works Cited page, which is centered. And again, everything is just double spaced, uses the hanging indentation so that the first word of each citation is at the left-hand margin and everything else is indented. And so gives you an example of that. This also gives you an example of what you might say in your opening paragraph, where you just give some general information about the issue. This paragraph isn't very lengthy, and yours probably should be longer than this. This is just the beginning of a draft, where I say that plastic is definitely one of the world's best inventions. Developed and marketed in the 1940s and 50s, plastic became a household product that has replaced glass, metal, and paper as the container of choice. Hardly a day goes by when the typical consumer doesn't buy or use something contained in plastic. So I'm just trying to set the scene, set the stage, let the reader know what we have in common, just some base, kind of a baseline of knowledge to let the reader know and catch the reader up into this topic. Yet when people are asked about the amount of waste they produce in a day, most people think of paper as the main trash. And then the thesis statement. What most people don't realize is that plastic is the primary cause of pollution on our planet today. And from that, we expect some readers to say, "Oh, wow, I didn't know that." And that's what you hope for. You want a readership that says, "I didn't know that, I wasn't aware of that, tell me more, explain that to me." And so then you can look through and see the topic sentences. Many people think that their plastic gets recycled, and then an explanation of that using information from data. 2 of the greatest sources of plastic pollution are plastic straws and plastic cutlery, and then an explanation and expansion of that, a discussion of that. And then a third body paragraph. There are several changes that the typical person can make to greatly reduce the amount of plastic pollution, and then an explanation of that. And so those 3 main points are what this writer is making in her paper. And you see that each of those topic sentences is just a broad statement, and that it is then defended and explained and supported in that paragraph with data from the sources. You never use your source to make the point. You make a general point. Most people think that plastic gets recycled. Okay? Not according to so-and-so, many people think, but just a broad general statement that you can then defend, explain, support with your data. But you never use your data in your topic sentence. You use your data to support. You use your sources to support your topic sentence, to support those points that you're making. And chapter 22 and chapter 23 talk a lot about that. So if you have not read those thoroughly, make sure that you get back in and look at the information in those chapters so that you understand what it is you need to be doing. All right, so let's see. Let me close that and get back to just our content. Let me show you something else. In this week's folder with the assignment link, when you open this folder, you see the assignment link. When you click on the assignment link, you have access to the information, the instructions for submitting your paper, but you also can look at the rubric for the paper. And when you look at the rubric, it shows you how you will be evaluated. And so the best quality introduction will be one that consists of a well-developed introductory paragraph that establishes a common understanding between the writer and the readers. A lesser quality, a B quality, would be the paragraph, the introduction consists of a somewhat well-developed introductory paragraph that attempts to establish common understanding between the writer and readers. A C level, it consists of a weakly developed introductory paragraph that might or might not attempt to establish common understanding between the writer and the readers. I'm going to scroll over so we can see the D and the E levels of these. An underdeveloped introductory paragraph that does not establish common understanding, or it consists of a very weak underdeveloped introductory paragraph, or it doesn't have an introductory paragraph at all. And so as you evaluate your own, you can think about where you fall on that continuum. And then this does the next thing with the next category, which is the paragraph developed, the body paragraphs. And then it talks about your grammar and your mechanics. Then your MLA documentation, the kinds of things that I will be looking at as I evaluate your essay to see where it falls, which of these levels it falls into. Your use of particulars, that's the use of your sources, the data, the information that you have gotten from the sources. And then your actual works cited page. And so those are the points that you will get for each of these areas, each of these categories. And so you can use this as a way to evaluate yourself as you look through your rough draft. I also highly encourage you, strongly encourage you to work with Amanda or to turn a draft in using the Thinking Storm online tutoring. You can click on that and enter the Thinking Storm Bluegrass site and then get some information there with drop-in tutoring or with Writing Center tutoring. But you can start an online appointment any of those options for using the tutoring service to get some help for your paper. So those are options for you besides, in addition to using Amanda. I plan on using our class meeting on Wednesday as a Q&A session, just where you can ask questions about your paper. I may walk through the drafting of a paper where I go in and find some sources and create a works cited and then use those works cited, and those sources show you again how to document those within my paper. But that all assumes that you have a topic and that you have found your own sources, that you've done your research, you've read the articles, you have quality information that you can plug into an essay to provide the information that your reader needs. If you have not done that, then that is your task for right now, so that you can get a draft written and give yourself some time in between writing your draft and going back in and reviewing and editing your draft, and then getting some feedback on it from either Thinking Storm or from Amanda. And so that you have time to do all of that before the paper is due on Sunday. So that's my advice to you, my encouragement to you for this week's work. I look forward to seeing you in class on Wednesday.